Welcome back to Skytech-Lens. For decades, North America's economic map was defined by seamless trade between Canada, the United States, and Mexico. American highways, railways, and ports formed the backbone of this integrated system. But on November 25, that map is being redrawn. Canada and Mexico are launching a $120 billion economic corridor, designed to bypass the United States entirely. This is not a minor adjustment. It's a fundamental re-engineering of North American trade, a direct response to rising American protectionism. The Northern Corridor is more than infrastructure. It's a declaration of economic independence. Massive investments in ports, railways, and digital customs systems signal a new era. The implications are profound. Jobs, industries, and the balance of power are all at stake. As we explore this continental bypass, we'll see how quickly alliances can unravel, and how the US could be left watching from the sidelines. The question, now, isn't if this will happen, but how deep the impact will be. The rupture began on July 12, 2025, when President Trump announced a sweeping 30% tariff on steel, auto parts, and copper from Mexico and Canada. For Ottawa and Mexico City, this was a breaking point, a violation of the spirit of the USMCA. Instead of retaliating with tariffs, Canadian and Mexican leaders coordinated a structural solution. They saw the US action as a sign that relying on American infrastructure was now a critical vulnerability. The idea of the Northern Corridor became an urgent necessity. As long as their trade passed through US ports and land routes, it would remain hostage to American politics. Within weeks, Canada and Mexico announced a $120 billion plan for a direct trade route. Financial commitments followed, with both nations' development banks pledging billions. The message was clear: if the US builds walls, Canada and Mexico will build a new road around them. The era of assumed cooperation was over. Strategic independence had begun. The Northern Corridor is a sophisticated multimodal system linking Canada and Mexico. Its backbone, the Pacific Short Link, a dedicated rail line connecting Mexico's manufacturing hubs to Prince Rupert, British Columbia, bypassing the US entirely. The Great Lakes Flow Ring, a maritime route, moves Canadian resources like steel and nickel through the St. Lawrence Seaway, then south via offshore hubs near Cuba to Veracruz, Mexico. This avoids US territory, tariffs, and delays. Canada is fast-tracking Pacific port expansions, while Mexico's industrial giants build out rail and port connections. The goal: a resilient system handling much of the $69 billion in trade that once crossed the US. First shipments are projected for early 2026, less than a year after the tariffs. By consolidating cargo on dedicated routes, shipping costs drop to $68 per ton, far cheaper than US routes even before tariffs. This cost advantage ensures the corridor's long-term viability. It's not just about new tracks, it's about a new economic reality. The bypass is becoming the main road. The corridor's true innovation is its digital backbone. Canada and Mexico are co-developing a blockchain-based smart manifest system, eliminating US customs inspections and paperwork. Every shipment is logged, tracked, and pre-cleared electronically, making the US border irrelevant for their trade. This slashes transit times and administrative costs, stripping $3.5 billion in annual border processing revenue from the US. For businesses, it means faster, more predictable supply chains. Shipments that once took weeks now move with the speed of domestic deliveries. The system integrates with automated ports and real-time tracking, creating a resilient, transparent supply chain. The corridor sets a new global standard for secure, efficient trade. By bypassing US customs, Canada and Mexico are not just saving money, they're building the future of international logistics. The digital handshake cements their independence. The US is left out of the loop. The world is watching. The economic fallout for the US will be swift and severe. By the end of 2026, the corridor will divert $69 billion in annual Canada-Mexico trade away from the US. The total blow, $120 billion lost to the American economy in just 2 years. US logistics and transportation sectors will be hit hardest. Ports, railways, and trucking companies face a 27% drop in inland cargo traffic. Border cities like Laredo and Buffalo face economic crisis as commerce dries up. The loss of border processing fees alone strips $3.5 billion annually from US coffers. The ripple effects will hollow out jobs in communities built around cross-border trade. A Brookings study estimates over 177,000 American jobs lost and up to $75 billion shaved off GDP. The very jobs tariffs were meant to protect are now at risk. The corridor is cutting a central artery of the U.S. economy. The price of isolation is the decay of the infrastructure and services that once made America indispensable. The cost is real and growing. Nowhere is the pain sharper than in Detroit. The auto industry's integrated supply chain is being shattered. Automakers are launching a non-US supply chain, sourcing batteries directly from Mexico and raw materials from Canada. Cheaper, tariff-free batteries bypass US processors, leaving American plants out. Detroit could lose up to 360,000 electric vehicles annually and 108,000 indirect jobs, costing the region $12.7 billion. America's ambitions to lead in electric vehicles are at risk, while Canada and Mexico build a parallel cost-effective ecosystem. The corridor is also a green artery, giving Canada and Mexico a strategic edge. Canada will export 5 million tons of LNG annually to Mexico, rerouting energy once bound for California and raising U.S. electricity costs. Together, they're building a green supply chain. Canadian, low-emission steel, Mexican lithium batteries, tailored for markets like the EU, which reward low-carbon imports. The corridor becomes a green-certified express lane, giving Canadian and Mexican exporters a competitive edge. This collaboration attracts global investment and strengthens their political and economic bonds. The U.S. risks being seen as the high-carbon, high-cost outlier. The future of North American industry is being written without it. Is this a temporary detour or a permanent shift? All signs point to permanence. The $120 billion investment creates path dependency. Businesses will adapt and supply chains will reconfigure. Even if tariffs are reversed, the corridor's cost and efficiency advantages will keep trade flowing on the new routes. The partnership between Canada and Mexico is deepening, with shared digital systems and green standards. The North American bloc is fracturing into two zones, a Canada-Mexico partnership and a more isolated U.S. The U.S. may find itself permanently bypassed. The new trade routes are here to stay. The legacy of this moment will shape the continent for generations. The Northern Corridor is redrawing the lines of power in North America. The U.S. is no longer the continent's undisputed center. Canada and Mexico have formed a new axis, independent of Washington. The tariffs meant to project strength have exposed America's vulnerability. As Canada and Mexico align with global standards, the U.S. risks being seen as unpredictable and protectionist. The corridor could inspire other regions to build resilient supply chains, accelerating a multipolar economic order. The U.S. faces a choice: double down on isolation or rebuild trust and adapt. The map has changed, and so has the balance of power. Thanks for watching. Subscribe the channel for more updates.